Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another Express Entry / Canada Immigration / solo version of the live Q&A. I'm immigration lawyer Mark Holthe. Well, Alicia and Igor are off in Montreal attending our National Canadian Bar Association immigration section, and I'm holding the fort down this week here in our office in Alberta. Yesterday, I was in a small town called Brooks, Alberta, which is probably one of the most multicultural communities in Alberta and maybe even in Canada. And I was presenting at the Seeds of Change Rural Immigration Conference. And I think some of you will recall I had done a few events where I talked about the golden age of Francophone immigration. And well, if there was a twin sister to that presentation, it would be the rise of rural immigration. And this is what I presented on. And if you look at Alberta, for instance, and you look at the Alberta Advantage Immigration Program, the Alberta PNP, most of the pathways are full. Most of them have been suspended. The processing times for applications are off the charts. But one of the programs that's still open is the rural renewal stream. And they're still taking applications. And I pressed the officers that were there, and I said in the panel that was just after mine, the session right after I did my session, the actual officers who administered the rural renewal stream were there. And I asked them, I said, you guys realize that if you don't close this, like you're going to have 5,000 or 6,000 applications and you only have 9,750 this year. There just isn't going to be room. People are going to be in the queue for 1 or 2 years. And this is not just Alberta, and they said, well, at this stage, we're keeping it open. And I'm like, okay, I personally think they're going to close it, but there's just so many of you looking for spots that, the PNPs, it's just overwhelming. It's hard for them to handle. All right. Well, we're going to talk about that and a whole bunch of other things, including answering your questions today. It's going to be a little bit shorter than normal because I have, this injury. Have you guys been playing pickleball? Well, this chubby Mark is trying to get back into shape. And I was a high school phys ed teacher. I did tons of athletics as a kid. And then sitting at this desk, at this computer for 20 years or whatever I've been doing, finally it's caught up to me. Because I went back to play pickleball and I was getting right into it. And, I've always been, fairly athletic with racket sports. And so I was having a lot of fun, a lot of success, started playing more and more. And then about 3 weeks ago, one shot. And then my back said, ooh, that didn't feel good. And I was like, oh, okay, I've had back strains before. So I just took a little break, laid on the floor beside the court, stretched my back out, finished playing. It was all good. Well, it wasn't all good because I could hardly walk, hardly put pressure. And I think I've got some kind of sciatica going. So that's what happens when you're old like me. You start getting all these injuries. And so to sum up the story, I have an appointment with my chiropractor literally right after this. And so I'm going to have to, it was originally for 10:30, but I'm going to probably go to about 10:45 today answering your questions. And then I've got to run away quick. And then I've got a ton more consults today. I was looking at my calendar with Alicia and, well, even in the days when Alicia and Igor are here, but I'm literally backed up. I have 2 consults here, 11:30 and 12:30. Mountain time. And then after that, I have 1, 2, 3 back-to-back consults. Then a file review for a client who got an expression of interest through the Accelerated Tech Pathway in Alberta, which is also one of those programs that is still accepting applicants. So I'm going to meet with a client to get that all sorted up. And then I'm going to head back out to see another specialist that I scheduled to try to help with his back. And I've never had so much discomfort in my life. So if any of you are physiotherapists out there, hey, reach out and let me know what your techniques are for relieving back pain, because it's clearly a muscle imbalance and just, it's pinching on a nerve, which is, so painful. So maybe what I should be doing is doing this off of my sit-stand desk over here, but it is what it is. So we'll see where it goes. Okay. Yes. Today, Thursday, we are going live instead of Wednesday, because Wednesday I was in Brooks. So thanks for your patience and understanding. And this is all about you guys. Now, as always, we do a little bit of an update. What's the current state of the rounds of invitations? But before we get there, please post your name, post where you're tuning in from. I want to give you guys shout outs. We've got Spidey, who's always here. Hi from Montreal, back in Canada as a visitor as planned, studying French full-time. Good for you. That is going to be the difference in the golden age of Francophone immigration. We've got George, another past client. Good to see you, permanent resident of Canada. Thanks for jumping on. I hope you're doing well too, my friend. We've got Steph, who's tuning in from Edmonton. Fantastic. Thanks so much for being here. We've got John Snow, nomination. You have a nomination, John? Well, fingers crossed, fingers crossed. And then, oh, good. We've got Betty from Kamloops. Thanks for connecting in. In fact, I just got off a call, Betty, with someone who's up in Fort St. John, and we're going to be doing the BC Skills Immigration. But man, those scores are high, right? What was it like? Boy, how much was it? I was just looking at it with him. It was like, was it 133 or something like that? Was the last general draw there for the Skills Immigration Express Entry, BC PNP. And so, wow, just crazy, crazy, crazy. All right, let's see who else we've got here that we can give some shout outs to. And I see Valerie has sent a little super chat. I will absolutely get to your question first. And if you guys are in a rush and you just need an answer fast, super chat is always a way, because I'll always take those questions first. We've got Javon. Hey, down in Jamaica. Oh, how's the weather down there, Javon? It's finally starting to warm up here a little bit, but we've had a ton of rain here, which has been so welcome, because we're really in, really a pretty serious drought situation right now with our water tables and everything here. So it rained really heavy the last two days, and it was so needed. But the problem is I've got a little leak in my roof. So I hired someone to help me do it, a kind of a friend. Seriously question hiring your friends to do work on your house, because his family needed a little bit of help, and that's kind of what I do. I try to help people, but the job that he did on the roof wasn't very good. So 7 years later, I'm going to have to replace my roof, and I'm pretty sad. Anyway, so we had a little bit of water leaking into our bathroom, and fortunately it was just a drip, but water stains on the roof, and you guys know what that's like in the rainy areas. Anyways, sharing everything about me. That's how I roll when I'm doing it on my own versus Alicia. Alicia keeps it all but hey, I talk about everything when I'm live on my own. So Javon, good to see you. And we've got Mohammed, who's in Toronto. Great to have you here. Inderjeet Singh, good to have you over tuning in from India. And great to have you connecting in. Let's see who else we have here. Chicken Cook Menacer says he's from Algeria and he's looking for a change to maybe go to Canada. Great. Thanks for connecting in. Buberjan is from Uzbekistan. Hey, Central Asia. Thanks for connecting in. This is awesome. Thanks for posting here, you guys. And hope all's well with you watching from Oakville, Ontario. Karen is over there. So very, very good. All right. So I want to hit on a few things before we get to the rest of the questions. Once again, with the supers, I'll try to hit those first, and we'll just pull up Valerie's. I'll just hit Valerie's question here first, and then we will jump to a few things I want to bring to your attention. Changes with immigration, nonstop, all the time. Okay, Valerie says, hey, Mark, I am still waiting for my H-1B work permit approval. It has been months, but my spouse's application, what he submitted just last month, has been approved. What should I do? Book a consult, Valerie. We need to figure out what's going on. We need to figure out why it's still pending. It should not still be pending. There's something going on in the background there, Valerie, and I recommend that you book a consult. And for those of you who are tuning in for the first time, when a question becomes really, really specific, that where I just need more background, I need more information in order to be able to answer it, I always click on this little triangle, this little bell that I ring. And that is the basically the invitation to slide over. Let's see if I can find my right. Is this one even right? Well, not too bad. It's not quite lined up right. I've got so many different windows here. Go to our immigration website, our firm site, and then just click on Speak to a Lawyer. And then from here, you have the ability to book a consult with Alicia, myself, Igor, whoever you'd like to connect with. All right. Okay, so in your situation, Valerie, I don't know, but it should not be that way. Simple as that. It just shouldn't. It absolutely should not be that way. Okay, and then let's see who else we've got here. We got one more. You guys are jumping in with supers. Mick Annette, I see that you have posted a super chat, but maybe if you want to repost your question, because I don't see it associated with your with your super chat. Let's just see here. Let's try again here. So if we, oh, there it is. Okay. Let's just pull this one up quick for Micanette. When selecting education level, there is only 3 years or 4-year bachelor's, but my degree is a 2-year post-diploma bachelor degree. I'm confused as to the option to choose. It's only going to be a 2-year diploma. Simple as that. Yep. So it's not considered a bachelor's. It would be considered a 2-year program. So post-diploma bachelor's degree, selecting level, there's only 3 years or a 4-year bachelor's, but my degree is a 2-year post-diploma bachelor's. Well, did you have one before it? Like if it's a post-diploma bachelor's degree, I don't know if it's combined, but if the credential is only for 2 years, then you're only going to get 2 years for it. Remember with express entry, if you have one that's at least 3 years, and then any other credential, usually I go, kind of by at least one more year, you'll get those bonus points for having 2 or more credentials, one of which at least 3 months. So keep that in mind as you're going forward. But yeah, in your situation, you have post-diploma bachelor's. If you have, if your previous credential was only 1 or 2 years, and then you transition to the university to complete it, it really comes down to what the WES assessment says. Does it say that it's considered to be a 3-year program? Does it treat it as 2 separate credentials? It really comes down to your educational credential assessment, and whichever entity, could be WES, could be whatever, actually did the assessment. All right. Okay. I want to jump back to, let's see here. I think we're back. There we go. Okay. Let's take a look at the rounds of invitations. Like I said, the rural immigration it's going to be on the rise. It really is, because they're going to want you guys to move outside of the larger centers where you're at. And the competition is off the charts, right? So you can see here, if we look at the last rounds of invitations, and let's just pull up all the rounds so that you can see. This month, we have not yet had a round of invitations. So we're into May 9th, and it's surprising given the fact that they had been pretty consistent. So they did 2 last week, the general draw, and then they did, surprise, surprise, another French one. Ugh, I just don't get it. Yeah, I'm really, really confused. I wish this character right here, Minister Miller, would give us some indication as to what the master plan is. If they expect or, are looking at bringing in, I don't know, what's their target now? Like 30%? I don't know. At the end of the day, I just question how this is economically helping our country to have so many people coming through French language programs. The draw is focused on French language. I think there's better uses. I have no problems with having a very healthy supply, but originally it was like 4%. And then 4.4%, and then 4.4% has become like 15 or whatever they have right now. And it's large numbers, and, but learn French, just like Spidey. There's a reason for it. All right. So you can see from the rounds of invitations, things are super, super competitive. All right. So yeah, like I said before, when you're trying to figure out what the future holds, we'll talk about this. I'll answer any questions that you guys have, but realistically, it's going to be tough for many of you to transition to PR. Okay, I want to bring up shift to another topic. And this topic is the use of artificial intelligence in processing applications. And I think many of you are probably aware that IRCC has, embedded this advanced analytics through the vast majority of the immigration application processing. Express Entry for sure uses it. But understand, they not only use it to triage and kind of pre-assess applications, but the biggest thing you guys need to understand is that they also use it as a way to map any other applications that you've submitted previously. So if there's internal inconsistency with something you put in your study permit application that wasn't consistent with what you were putting in your express entry application, that can be a real problem for you, because they will look at it and say, okay, well, which one is correct? Were you lying on your study permit application just to get into Canada? Or was there a mistake in your express entry application? Did you fail to include something? All of these things can be a real problem that can lead to misrepresentation. But there's something new, very new, that's coming up. And we're starting to see it surface more and more. And that, my friends, is allegations when you file your application on your own that you have used an unauthorized representative. How in the world does this happen? How do you get a notification from IRCC when you file your own application alleging that you used an unauthorized representative? Because remember, you are not authorized to use anyone in your country, especially all you guys in India or in Nigeria or wherever you're applying from, who are using one of your local people to help you, unless they are regulated RCIC or an immigration lawyer called to the bar in Canada. It is illegal to pay them to help you, but people do it all the time, right? And the reality is now AI is being utilized to find patterns, to see consistency in applications. And when I say consistency, I mean to see parallels where they say, wait a minute, this person's submission letter, or this person's application looks very similar to all of these other 15 or 20 or 30 applications previously submitted. And how is that possible if they're submitting it on their own? So you're in a situation now where immigration is catching people who are doing it. And I want to add one other level here that no one's talking about, that I'm actually going to do a separate video. And that's the use of ChatGPT to generate your explanations. ChatGPT does generate, somewhat original thought based on facts. But there are definitely patterns and consistency. Just like when you're going to school and your school has software programs to try to catch when you're using, AI to generate your papers for school, when in reality, they're supposed to be done through the use of original thought. So if you're using it and you're saying, oh yeah, ChatGPT, I'll just use that to draft my response letter to immigration. Well, they screen it. And if they see similar responses to what ChatGPT gave to somebody else, and there's enough of those little touch points in their algorithm where they're finding these data sets that all match up, and they can kind of match them all together, well, they're going to allege that you are using somebody else who has their own precedents that just regurgitate the same information and swap out people's names. So you folks be careful. In our firm, like within my firm, I use ChatGPT at every opportunity I can for my social media marketing. So when I'm posting new Twitter messages or a LinkedIn message, after I do like a podcast episode, I will run it through ChatGPT and I'll say, hey, can you help me to draft a good LinkedIn message that tells people about the blog post or about the podcast episode that we just did. I use it all the time. But do I use ChatGPT to generate a response to immigration on your, say, procedural fairness letter? Absolutely not. Not at this stage, and I don't think I ever will get to that stage. Mostly just because each person is individual and different, and I don't want in any way, shape, or form IRCC to come back and refuse an application alleging someone, was using an unauthorized representative when maybe you were using ChatGPT, or maybe you found, my personal favorite, a website out there that has a template for a reference letter. And you guys, I talk about this all the time in my course, my Express Entry Accelerator course. And I'm just going to slide over here to our site and I'll just show you guys this again. But in the accelerator, one thing you will find me say over and over and over, and you'll never find it on Holthe Immigration Law. You'll never find here in all of our tons of resources. You'll never see anything that talks about a template letter to use for your reference letters or anything like that. Like, I just don't have it out there. I just don't. And the reason is for that exact reason. I don't want all of you submitting the same work experience letter with the same formatting, the same font. Now, within my Express Entry Accelerator here, within the course itself, let's see if I can log in here, and I'll jump in and I'll just show you the course. Absolutely, I have a template, but the template is ultra bare bones, and it's designed to just help you. Let's see, this is the previous version of the Express Entry course. It's constantly being updated. This is the brand new one here, all new videos. And so if I go to Module 6, these are all the individual lessons, and I go to Records of Employment, and I'm not sure if this will actually work. You can see here I have a ton of downloads. All these sample reference letters are purely there just to give you an idea of the fact that they can have a whole bunch of different, they can look a whole bunch of different ways. They don't have to be the same format, but they do need to be include all of the essential information. And so that's why I have instructions to employers for records of employment. I have a record of employment checklist. And then I do have here a sample employer reference letter. So I do. And I don't know if it'll pull up here. I think I might have to switch my screen a little bit. Let's see if it'll open up. And I'll just show you what I provide to my clients. And I'm harping on this, you guys, because one of the other lawyers in our Canadian Bar Association listserv, I think it was, just talked about a client who now they're going to have to file a judicial review because IRCC alleged that they had used an unauthorized representative when they actually hadn't. But how do you deal with this? Realistically, how do you deal with it when they send a procedural fairness letter, you respond and they still don't believe you? So let me just shift over here and I'm just going to show you the extent of my draft letter here. I've got a bunch of things going on, and it's always a little bit challenging when I'm doing everything here, working in the background as well as pulling stuff up. Okay, let's switch over here to Word. Boom. Okay, so this is just in my my Word here, and maybe we can enlarge this just a wee bit. Okay, so it's as simple as this, right? And what I'm focused on is each of the key components that are needed within a letter. And so this is just an example of one tool that I use when I am, when I'm teaching people how to prepare reference letters. I don't want them to all look the same. And so you just have to be really careful when you are, when you're trying to respond and provide a complete application. Obviously, any person that is not authorized by law to represent you and work for you, avoid them, because AI will catch it. Because if you're using them, a whole bunch of other people are. And if you haven't disclosed them as a representative, a paid representative, an authorized paid representative, then you could be on the hook for misrepresentation. Now, if there's a representative that you hire that has a similar template that they use for all of their employers, well, it doesn't matter. That's okay, because they're going to say, oh, it's an authorized representative, and yeah, they've got their template, and that's fine. But it's when you're trying to use ghost consultants, that's the issue. All right, let's slide over here and let's get to some questions. Okay, Maria says, can we use a common law partner savings account as proof of funds and notarized letter to prove access? It's possible. It is possible. You can, if you do it correctly. And I'll leave it at that. It is possible, but you have to make sure that you are, that the notarized letter and everything confirming that it's accessible to the family. Yeah, if you do it correctly, you can do that. Okay, Farat, well, moving to Quebec after getting PR through Federal Express entry will be trouble with RCC later. It very well could, because you're not supposed to. So, yep, it's entirely possible. Okay, John says, oh, here we go. John says, can I rotate my CRS score by adding and removing spouse periodically? Like an express entry week, I can remove spouse. In an ONP human capital stream week, I can add spouse to lower score. Oh, John, you can do whatever you want, my friend. There's no restrictions on that. And sometimes, and this is the last part here, was just the nomination. That's where it came from. Obviously immigration is going to wonder what the heck's going on. Are you really including them, or are you not including them? But you can make changes to your profile before you're issued an ITA. Okay. VK says, for express entry, if my salary is a base salary plus possible performance commission, do I have to mention the exact commission amount in the job offer letter, as it's not certain in advance? No, you don't. But I would obviously say, and performance based, and commission based on performance or something like that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you don't have to say the specific amount. Okay, Maria says, the FBI report from the US is black and white. Will this cause issues with RCC, or as familiar with it? No, it's not a problem at all. We've known since the beginning of time that those are black and white. At least the new ones that they're, well, new. for the last 10 years or however long they've been issuing them electronically. Okay, let's see what's next here. Okay, God First says, are electronically signed job experience letters acceptable for express entry? Yes, they may be, as long as they're authentic. So if it looks fake, you could have a problem. But if the electronically signed, it has a one of those official signatures that says electronically signed on this date, those carry more weight than someone it looks like someone has copied and pasted a signature from something else. Okay, let's see what else is next here. Harsh, what did you do? By mistake, I put Canada job start date May 2023 instead of June 2023 and got CEC points in April and received ITA STEM draw. Can I file documents in June after completing the 1560? I will ring this bell every time, Harsh. Book a consult. Let's take a look at it. You clearly received your ITA based on information that was not correct. So there's a huge possibility that IRCC will say, well, no, wait a minute. We're not going to accept this because the information you entered into was incorrect. This is different than someone who put June in there, but because of it rounding up by 1 month, they got an invitation when really they shouldn't have. So it may be possible to save it, Harsh, but I'll be honest, there has to be a really good explanation for that. And I can't tell you what to do without looking at the whole situation. So I encourage you to slide over, like we always say. And let's see here, right here, slide over to, I guess I got to select the proper, let's close this. I got a whole bunch of things open here on my screen. Let's go back in here and let's choose Chrome. There we go, all fixed up. Yes, so slide over to our site, book a consult, and we can sort through that. There we go. It's all mostly fixed. Hey, I've got my URL in there. Hey, there's the firm website. Okay. All right. These are always kind of footloose and fancy free. Okay, we go another 15 minutes here. Let's pound out some more questions. Let's see who is next here. Bettelem says, is renting a house considered as a business for an immigration purpose? No. Passive income like that is not considered. Yeah. Tim Obi from BC. Great to have you. Let's see, what else do we have here? Okay, Olu says, I applied for the Alberta Advantage Immigration Program, AOS, in January before it was suspended on February. I would like to hear from you based on your experience in Alberta. What are my chances of being successful with the application? Well, it'll be processed. If you did it properly, it will be processed because it was before things were suspended. It'll just take a long time for them to do it. Okay. Hey, the SOC spot. Great to see you. Thanks for saying hello. Just saying hi, Mark. Hope you have been well. Aside from my back, I've been doing pretty good. You can see I'm kind of moving around here because I've got a little ice pack on my back, trying to give it a little bit of relief, but oh my goodness. Oh, my back is so sore. All right. Okay. I don't know why I advise against startup visa. I don't know if I always advised against it. If a person genuinely qualifies, then sure. But there's so much messy stuff with that program. And, there's a reason why the minister reduced it down, why they restricted it. And it's hard because, there's lots of actors that unfortunately abuse the good programs. And then the government says, oh, there's such high rates of fraud, corruption within it that we're just going to cancel it. And, or we're going to reduce it to a very, very narrow classification, or designated partners are only going to be restricted to issuing so many a year because of abuse. And that's why. It's not that I have anything in particular against it in legitimate situations. And there are many people that do apply legitimately through the programs. But it's all the others that try to wedge what I call a square peg into a round hole. And, and then actors charge a whole lot of money. And so there's nothing wrong with charging money either, but when there's lots of money at stake, people will kind of do some things maybe that are a little bit sketch in order to get approvals. Okay, let's see who's next. Okay. Bizania says, Marinos here, does foreign work experience need to be in the same knock as Canadian experience for Express STEM category? No, it doesn't. If you're looking at the STEM category for category-based draws, you just need 6 months of experience in the previous 3 years. And it doesn't have to be your primary knock. It doesn't have to be related to your CEC, but it does have to be within the past 3 years. Okay. Assad says, for French language draws, is it necessary to keep French as first language, or can choose English as first and French as second and still get chosen? Yeah, it's totally fine to have it as the second language. They're looking at the level of French that you have. Oh, this is Nisha. I totally hear what's going on. I totally get your situation here. And this is the part that's so heartbreaking. So Nisha says, I moved from Ontario to Nova Scotia for PR. Now the Nova Scotia nominee program is closed. No options provided for us. Employer cannot provide LMIA. They are not registered under designated employer, only for PNP. So sad. And then I'll pull this fellow up here, and we'll pull him. Yeah, we'll line him up right here. Give him a good high spot on my. He's like on my shoulder. That's actually kind of funny. Minister Miller's on my shoulder. Okay, anyways, Nisha says, Minister Mark Miller, what is happening? No CEC. That's my question. Minister? What's happening? I don't know. I would have expected that they would have done more CEC draws, but I just don't know. I've given up trying to understand completely. Okay. Okay, Maria says, do we answer no to the question, have you ever applied to IRCC before if we have only submitted express entry profiles in the past, but not an actual EAPR? It doesn't matter. If you haven't submitted an EAPR, a profile is not technically an application. But if you were to put it in, that's fine too. But a profile isn't considered to be an application. So for my clients, it just depends. It just depends. Sometimes I'll put it in, sometimes I won't, but it does not really matter which direction you go. Okay, looks like we got another super that popped in here, and this is Inderjeet. Okay, since proof of funds for express entry is increased, WEF 28th of May, but I have a doubt. Since I already got ITA, do I need to add more funds in account, or is it only for those who did not get ITA? You absolutely need to add more funds in, Inderjeet, because there are only certain things that are locked in at the time in which you receive your ITA. One is your age. Work history as well is locked in, but when it comes to proving the documentation, proving your scores, you need to show the settlement funds at the time in which you submit your EAPR. So if just because you got an ITA does not lock in the old fund amount, it's only after you submit your EAPR that your funds are locked in. Okay, good question. Good question. All right, let's see what else we have here on our list. I've been trying to go through as many. We've got about 7 or 8 minutes here before we wrap things up. Jam says, hello, Mark, is there still a possibility for a mature applicant, 45 years old with LMIA, to meet the CRS score that are getting invited? In many cases, like, it's hard for me to say. I ring the bell and say, hey, let's take a look at it. But the reality is, even now, when you're older, you lose 100 points, really. Like once you hit 45, right, you are pretty much, you're not getting any age points. So the extra 50 points that you get for an LMIA are often not going to be enough to make up the difference. Not with rounds of invitations in the high 520s or higher. Nisarj says, hey, Mark, do you think CEC draws may resume anytime soon? Once again, this fine fellow right here, I have absolutely no clue what his plan is. Absolutely no clue. There was lots of hints that maybe he would be in a situation where, they would start doing CECs. They talked about the emphasis on people inside Canada. But I think for all intents and purposes, Nisarj, anyone, and I've said this before, anyone that's being drawn into the Canadian Experience class, well, the vast majority of people that are getting ITAs right now are CECs. So I don't think the score is going to go back down too much more than what we're seeing with the general draws, largely because there are so many people in Canada right now that most people that are in the pool have Canadian work experience now. And not many people are talking about that. All right, we'll send the minister away. Okay, Supreet says, if I don't know my knock code as my job duties are a mix of 2 codes, what should I do? Which knock code should I use? As one matches 40% and the other matches 60 to 7. Please let me know. Really appreciate. Supreet, once again, I recommend that you book a consult and we can figure out exactly what your knock is. But clearly, if the other match is 60 to 70%, well, substantial is about 75% or close to. So you're going to pick that one and you're going to work your way forward from there. But one thing, you're not going to want to just take duties away. You want to be able to put them in and explain. And that's what I teach in my course. And for those of you who are wondering about my Express Entry course that I've been talking a lot, next Wednesday, I'm going to be doing my master class. Every second and fourth Wednesday, typically of the month, is when I do those. And I recommend that you come on over here and subscribe to the Express Entry Accelerator. You can see we've got 69 individual lessons that cover every part of the whole Express Entry process. And if you go to our main site, let's see if I can find this, Canadian Immigration Institute. Let's just Google it up here. You can go here and you can see the courses that are in the works, the courses that we have. I've pulled some down just because we're in the process of updating them. But there's all kinds of resources here. So go check it out. When it comes to the Express Entry Accelerator, it's so cool because I've got a ton of people that have been going through this over the years. And usually the last day of the course of the masterclass, I will ask them to just leave me a comment. So I can't even see what these are. I'm just going to pull these on. So here's Anthony, awesome source for legitimate information. Kudos to Mark and your team. And that's important to me because there's so much free information out there, and that's just it. It's free. And can you even rely upon it? And here we go. The SOC spot he was on today. Yeah, you really got out of your way to help. You answered questions that would have cost $250 US in a consult elsewhere. Yeah, that's true. Let's see here. Oh, here I've got them all. I didn't even realize that I pulled them all into one. So that's quite funny. I guess I already pulled them all together. Hamed, who's an RCIC, a consultant, awesome, best, really, Mark, really the best. And then Tom David says the class is fantastic. I wasted so much money with immigration lawyers. Well, hopefully not with our firm. but anyway, so those are just some of the more recent comments for people that took it. So I'd encourage you to click on the link below and subscribe and join me. You have access to the course material for life, even upgrades, unlimited. And you can come back every 2 weeks and ask me questions in the live Q&A masterclass. So I'll be honest. I truly don't understand why every single person who applies for Express Entry doesn't subscribe to the course. It is worth every penny of it. Okay. And remember, it's me. I'm teaching it. Every lesson was created by me and the masterclass as well. As a former high school teacher, I just absolutely loved creating it. It's like I'm back in school. I agreed, Nassar, stop fraudulent LMIAs. All of that plays a role in this. All of it does. Peter joining from India. Great to have you here. Looks like we're just about going to wrap up in 3 minutes here. Okay, yeah, so this is, Estef says, G'day, Mark. You suggested looking into the STEM in your previous video. How's Alberta Tech Path invitations? Well, we just submitted one 2 days ago for a client, and we've got the notification to submit the application, so I'll keep you posted. I think anytime that you can get into STEM, we know there are category-based draws. If it's IT related, certain provinces have special focus for IT positions. So anything you can do. And I can see that you're finance and you're looking to shift careers. Well, it still has to make sense, right? So often when they're looking for nominations for people in certain areas, it's because, it's because of their work experience that they are an attractive candidate. And if you're brand new, sometimes that can be a little bit of an issue because you don't have that work experience, even though you might have the educational credential. So you have to balance that out, Steph. And once again, I'll hit the triangle and say, slide over, book a consult, and we can strategize together. Okay, Navdeep says, I started working in Canada on a postgrad in 2023. After 4 months, I traveled back to my home country and worked from there for 8 months. Can I use that 8 months of work experience anywhere? You can use it as foreign work experience, potentially, but not Canadian work experience. Okay, look, you guys, looks like we got a couple supers that popped in here. Let's see if they're, I got to make sure I'm not missing them. So, Inderjeet. Let's see, do you have something more? Okay, we'll answer another one of Inderjeet's. My wife is the primary applicant for my work experience. What I need since I am self-employed running a coaching classes in partnership with someone. That's a tricky one, Inderjeet. Ultimately, any self-employed, if you're using it in its foreign work experience, you can claim it. You're not just going to provide a letter that says, this is what I do. You're going to get all of your students, that you coach. You're going to get your financials. You're going to show you have a valid business. You're going to provide letters from parents or whoever you're coaching confirming the work that you do. You're going to use your tax documents. You're going to provide your bank statements to show income being earned. And if you have a website, you're basically going to educate them all about what you did. And then from there, all of that becomes a part of proving your foreign work experience. If you're in Canada doing that stuff, it won't count for the purposes of CEC. Okay, let's see what else we have here. I had one more super chat from Norton. Let's see here. Okay, so Norton says, okay. Love you, Mark. You didn't answer my question. It was first in the list. It's because it didn't show up, I think, Norton. When I go live, if you post a question before I go live, sometimes I don't see it. Okay. If I pay the PR application fee, does this lower my proof of funds amount? The card is attached to my proof of funds account. Absolutely. Like you can't, like the permanent resident application fee is in addition to, the proof of funds that you need. You can't say, okay, well, I've got the proof of funds, but my PR application fee is coming off of that. No, you can't do that. You need that in addition to the proof of funds amount. And you guys are really pushing me here. I have to get to my appointment. Okay, last one. Okay, this is the last one. This one's from Tanmay. And Tanmay says, I'm on a closed work permit using the intercompany transfer program. Can I apply for my PR using my current job offer? I work in finance. What are my chances with a CRS score of 524? So 524 is close. Can I apply for my PR using my current job offer? If you're on a closed work permit intercompany transfer, it's considered to be a job offer if you can show that you've been working for the company for a year. Once you hit the 1 year mark, and Tanmay, if your employer is willing to issue a letter, one of the ones that I cover in our in my Express Entry Masterclass. Whoops, let's go back here. Not two, but one. In the masterclass, one of the things that I have is a clear, like a whole lesson dedicated exclusively to job offers. But in your case, if the employer is willing to give you a letter that basically provides the details of the job offer, as well as indicates that they will continue to employ you or will employ you for at least 1 year after you become a permanent resident, that exact language, then you're going to be in a position where you can potentially claim that as a job offer and get the extra 50 points. Okay. All of it's explained in the course. All right. Okay, guys, I'm going to wrap it up right there. I know there's a whole bunch of other people, that are, I didn't quite get to it. Camby, hey, it says, you are remarkable person. That's hilarious. Thank you. Good to see the old Mark Holthe. You used to conduct YouTube lives. You give old vibes. I did do that all the time, didn't I? It was quite fun. Yeah, I would just roll with it. It's so all over the place. Like, because I'm answering questions, I'm pulling stuff up on my computer, I'm pulling up websites, and I'm selecting people like Anna here, who said, I subscribed to the masterclass course. It's been very helpful. Looking forward to the masterclass sessions. And that is worth an applause. So Anna, I will see you next week, and all of the rest of you who make the wise decision to subscribe. All right. Take care, everybody. Thanks for joining me. Off to my chiropractor. I will see you next week, Wednesday. It was just Thursday because of my appointment, my conference that I spoke at. All right.